Hello all, hope we're all doing well. We're continuing with our weekly portion review, and this week we're in the portion of Vayetzei, and he left. We are deep into Jacob's escape from Esau due to the drama that we discussed last week with Esau. He's going to make his way to Laban. He's going to meet Lavan. He's going to meet his two future wives. And there's, of course, the escape from Lavan, making his way back to Israel. But today I want to focus about why is Jacob actually fleeing Lavan's house? What's going on over there that he needs to leave? Now, our rabbis teach us that in the Haggadah, in the Passover Seder, when we read the Haggadah, we are taught that Lavan sought to uproot everything. What does this mean? Jacob's escape from Lavan is not just a family dispute, it's actually portrayed as an existential threat. And it's a moment that really is bordering on an attempt of annihilation from Lavan towards Jacob. And suddenly, without any warning, right, Lavan suddenly turns violently against Jacob and the entire household. He wants to completely get rid of him. And how could such a reversal happen overnight? Now, to really understand this, we have to look deeper, of course, back into the rivalry between the two towering brothers that are in the backdrop over here, which were Abraham and Nahor. And Abraham is, as we know, following God's revelation, and he believed that the Jewish mission really required ascending the land of Israel and establishing a great nation here there. I'm in Israel, and shining really a blessing outwards towards all humanity, right? A blessing, the families of the world will be blessed through you. Now, Nahor, in contrast, has a different model that he believes in, one that Abraham in his youth believed in. But he wants to remain in Haran, and he's looking into building scattered communities, trying to forming this influence through a network of different enclaves in the diaspora. Right, this is an ancient Jewish cosmopolitan mindset. Now, when Jacob ran to Lavan, right, when he's leaving his father's house and running towards Lavan, it appeared, at least indirectly, that this is validating Nahor's worldview, right? Now, Jacob is finding refuge in these diaspora communities, and because of that, Lavan is embracing him warmly. Now, here, Lavan could think this is proof that the future of the Jewish story lies in Haran, and it's not actually in the land of Canaan, continuing with Abraham's route. But once Jacob actually decides that he needs to, he feels his divine call and he has to return to the land of Israel, once he declared with his life, right, that the covenant ultimately has to be lived in the land of Israel like Hashem, like God promised, then his presence actually becomes a threat to Lavan's entire ideology. Right? If Jacob leaves, then the Nahor model collapses. And so Lavan's sudden rage is not personal, it's actually ideological. Now, if Jacob returns again to Israel, he becomes the living testimony that the true path is Abraham's. And Laban can't accept this. And so, as we said, he sought to uproot everything. That's what our sages were trying to teach us. Now, Jacob senses his danger and understands it's time to flee. We got to get out of here. And against this backdrop, we could also understand this mysterious episode of Rachel stealing her father's trafim, her father's idols, so to speak. And in the ancient world, these trafim, what the Bible calls them trafim, these idols weren't this primitive idol, a tool of idolatry and just a superstition, but this actually had a symbolic representation of a spiritual or historical awareness, right? These are tools that were used to express one's real sense of destiny and legacy. But by taking these trafim, Rachel is now making a very bold statement. The historical role of Lavan and Nahor before him, their worldview is actually over. right? So the center of Jewish story can no longer remain in Haran or in the diaspora. The covenant has to continue only through Jacob and only through the return to the land of Israel. And this is why Lavan is so desperate to recover the Trophim back. Not because of the monetary value that they have, but because what they represent and their claim historically. Now, Jacob's fleeing is, again, it's not out of fear, it's a mission. And it's not a retreat in that sense, it's actually a return. And as we mention often, today, Israel actually, after we endured another devastating war, this story feels painfully relevant and contemporary. And we're again standing in this crossroads between two visions, right? A people that are defined by this dispersion, that we could be kicked all over, or being kicked out of our land, so to speak, or the threat of being kicked out of the land, or people whose spiritual and historical center is firmly planted in the land, right? And the world around us fluctuates. Sometimes they're embracing us, sometimes they're turning suddenly hostile, just like Lavan did as well. But Jacob's journey teaches us that our destiny is not shaped by the comfort of a foreign acceptance, and not by the instability of being in exile ultimately, that people could turn on you in a whim. Our mission, which is ancient and eternal, is to build a just, courageous, moral society in our land, and from here to bring a blessing to the world. And like Rachel removing the Trophim was to declare that the era of depending on others is over, the center of Jewish life is here in Israel. And our task after the war is not only to rebuild, but to reaffirm our purpose to be a nation of spiritual light, moral clarity, and ultimately unity. And Jacob's escape is a reminder that the Jewish story moves forward when we step towards our destiny, not away from it. I'm wishing us all a Shabbat Shalom, one where we could orient ourselves towards our path, towards our destiny. Take care.